So not only was he resigning to no wage, but I was pregnant, and that really threw Declan into a bit of a spiral.
Whoa.
Hey guys, it's Kat and Deanna, and we're the partners of Blake and Declan from Ex-Recruiter. Today we filmed an epic podcast on the journey it's taken from the starting of their recruitment agencies to now Ex-Recruiter. The highs and lows and the juicy, funny stories that we could share.
You know, behind the closed doors, it was really, really hard.
You don't want to miss this episode.
Welcome back to another episode of Confessions of a Recruiter with Blake and Declan. We're here joined with Deanna and Kat, two very special ladies, our partners.
Thanks for coming on,
Thanks
girls.
for coming on.
No worries.
Now, this has happened for a reason, because I think there's a lot of value to be shared in hearing what it's like when we started our agencies, your perspective, what it's like juggling families and, keeping the household in ship shape and building businesses. It's not easy, but, we couldn't have done what we've done unless we were with both of you. So it would be a good moment to get you both on.
Yeah, so let's start. Let's start with Declan and Deanna, because this is going to be an interesting story because we share a lot of similarities on how we started our agency. I think I was only maybe 12 months ahead of you or something like that.
Well, should we go through the similarities between us four and our families? Like, the girls are the same age gap with us.
Oh, yeah, we got two cougars at the table. They're both older than us.
Come on.
Yeah. Go through the similarities.
Yeah. So then, both two girls, same age gap. Met almost in the same year, because you two met in 2018.
Yeah.
We met in 2017. And our kids are a similar age. Me and Blake are 2 months apart. Our sons are both 2 months apart.
Both have brown
Tommy,
hair.
both have brown hair.
Both of the girls initiated us
Yep.
in the relationship
Well,
first.
That's the way we roll.
Debatable.
And then Tommy's got the same birthday as Sammy at work.
Yep.
The girls are both born a week apart in January.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
We're linked.
We are linked.
Entirely. But we also have very different ways at home, and you guys started business a year apart. And let's talk about the journey. Let's get into it.
Let's do it. All right.
I'm
So
ready.
to give some context, so Declan and I started at a recruitment agency together. I worked there for about 14, 15 months and then started my agency pretty quickly thereafter. Declan did the same, really, but just a little bit down the track. Walk us through, well, you were together at this point, right?
Yep.
So you were boyfriend, girlfriend, and Declan was a recruiter. And then walk us through like the relationship on how it was between you two when Declan came home, Deanna, and said, I'm going to start a recruitment agency. What was that about?
That was something we were planning, and we thought it was a great idea to get around starting his own agency. So we were, living the life. We had a great spot in town in Hamilton. We were pretty carefree. We didn't have too many responsibilities. We were using as much time as we could to plan and save to start this agency. The week of and the day that he resigned, which was a massive, massive deal, as most people know that have done that before. We also found out that day, or that few days before, that I was also pregnant.
A couple of days before,
Yeah, a few days before I was pregnant with Sage. So that really threw Declan into a bit of a spiral. He was not okay. So not only was he resigning to no wage, but I was pregnant and
How old are you, Declan?
24.
24.
He was 24.
Okay, so you're 24, you're starting your recruitment agency, you're with your partner, you're saving up. How long did you save up for?
6 months.
6 months.
Okay, so this was a premeditated,
Premeditated,
Yep.
planned, executed.
beautiful.
Well executed, except in other areas.
Okay, so you're 24, you're about to resign, you've got everything organised,
Paid the office rent in the new office.
and then Deanna says, "Hey, we're having a baby."
Yup.
Did anything ever go through your head around maybe we shouldn't start the agency now because now we've got a kid, we need some stability? Obviously things change.
That's
No.
so funny. No.
No.
That never was an option. It was never like we can't start the business. It was like, what are the other options? We decided to sacrifice, make some big sacrifices, and we actually moved in with Declan's mum and his sister, and we all lived together. So that was a big sacrifice, and that was hard because, I was working. Declan had quit his job, so he was stressed. I was a little stressed, and also going through so many changes. We sacrificed to go and live somewhere that we could afford to live instead of sacrificing the business or, what other options there could have been at the time.
Limit all expenses.
Yeah. We literally cut every cost we could possibly do. Yeah.
To the point you started paying for my car loan.
Yeah, I was paying for
Which
his
I think
car
was
loan
$60
and his
a week.
gym. I was
Really?
really his sugar mama. I was the
Okay.
sugar mama
Nice,
cougar.
Yeah, she's my investor.
I'm the OG supporter.
Wow. Okay. So you found out basically the week prior of starting the agency that you were about to have a baby. What changed for you at that point? Or was it still the same plan? Or did the plan have to be adjusted a little bit? Like, what was actually going through your mind at that moment?
My mind was we've got 9 months to have a solid crack and still be in business by the time Sage comes. And if we're not, then go back and get a job.
Nice.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
At the time?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, there was a lot of emotional things happening for me. So it was pretty stressful. It was really hard. It wasn't easy. The stress of having to work and, cover all expenses was a lot. And I thought, well, we're just going to have to give it a go. There's no other option. I'm down for the challenge. Let's do it. And I honestly thought that it wouldn't be that hard. We did get through it. There were definitely hard times. Finances was like the biggest one. And then also, being a lot older and then living at home with your partner's family. That was also a challenge because, you've got different ways of living. We also had Archie, which is my son. So there was a lot going on. So I was pretty stressed, but we got through it. We definitely got through it. We conquered.
What was the relation? Did it put any stress on the relationship? Were there moments in that 9-month period when obviously Deanna's got all the hormones?
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for. Endorphins. She's loving life.
Wasn't quite there.
Dopamine through the roof.
Yeah.
Waking up every day with a smile on your face.
No, there was lots of tears. There was a lot of arguing and fighting at times. And, Declan was super stressed and I was angry and
So you were working at a normal
Interior design.
Yeah, I
firm.
was working at a design
so you're
firm.
on a salary,
Yeah, I was on a salary, working full time.
and that salary had to pay for you, Declan, living at home with Declan's parents, and trying to make ends meet on one income.
Yeah, whilst going through a whole body change. So
Whilst going through pregnancy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like it could have been a challenge. Do you reckon you could have done that?
It was hard. Hard yakka, honestly.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, it's not for everyone. It's definitely challenging. But I think we had to, and this is deep, but we had to get counselling at times to get through how we were feeling and how to communicate together because we were so young as well. I mean, we still are, but we were younger. And I think at the time, we had a lot going on personally for us as well. We had a lot of changes personally with our own families. So that put more strain on it as well. So there was a lot of fighting, a lot of miscommunication there, but we worked through it, didn't we?
Yeah.
It was
Obviously.
Yeah, we're here. I mean,
Yeah.
made it.
Was
But
there ever
that
a moment that you thought, I don't think this is going to work?
Yeah, heaps of times. Don't you think?
Yeah.
Am I just saying that?
Well, in our
Is that-
relationship and then also
the work,
And
the
work.
business.
Both.
Yeah.
Because to be successful in business, you need to have your house in order.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is you need to have a peaceful, good home life so you can direct all energy and focus onto building and scaling a business. It'd be really, really tough to build and scale a business if your home life was chaotic or inconsistent or, not giving you the peace that you need to be able to focus at work. So I'd imagine, you guys being in your first year, like how long were you together when
A year and a half.
15 months.
Yeah, so you're still working each other out, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we'd gone from a really carefree life.
we met in February and then moved in July, 5 months later.
Wow.
We moved
Blake
quick.
couldn't even
Whoa.
date me that soon.
Whoa.
He put me on
Yeah.
probation. I didn't want to commit too early. They moved in together.
Yeah.
We moved in together.
Yeah.
We moved pretty quickly in our early stages, but we also went through a lot of big changes early in our relationship, which probably put a lot of strain on us in our early times together. So we had to put in a lot of time and effort and, you know, work through a lot of those things, which,
Yeah, because it was like Dad got sick at the time, being a step parent at 23, 24, working out. Like, there's a lot of life changes, starting a business,
living at home,
getting pregnant, living
Yeah.
at home.
Wow.
There's like 4 or 5 milestone
Yeah.
You
moments.
listed out. That's
All
Yeah.
happened in one.
It was like a year and a
Yeah.
half, So it was not easy, but I mean, you get through it. You pull through it. There's always light at the end of the tunnel, and it's always going to be okay. Like,
What
you
were some of the
just-
conversations? Like Declan would come home, you're working as an interior designer. Declan comes home in whatever mood he's in from the day he's had, whether it be good or bad. Was there any like consistent style of conversation that always got brought up where you're like, we've fucking been through this, Declan. Stop saying this, or hey, great work
Gotta
here.
not spend money. Stop spending money.
We had no money to spend, so that was not a problem. I think it just was like trying to support Declan, because I know that he was really struggling in emotionally and mentally with everything, like starting his own agency with everything that was going on at home. So I was trying to support Declan through that, but I know there were days where you come home and you'd be like, this is not working, this is hard, like I'm by myself, I have no support, there's no one there to reach out to, the community's not there. And he was really struggling with that. So we were trying to like work through that at home, and with his like, you know, mum and his sister at the time as well. But I don't know, how did you feel at that time? Like,
I just
for you?
really, didn't enjoy it. It was all right when you'd get wins at work and, you know, the media articles and stuff, and the milestones of winning a new client and placing a job. But yeah, I think I got a lot of bad advice in those first 1 or 2
But
years.
never seen someone just keep pushing through though, the way he did. No matter how hard it was. Like, I mean, touched on a few things just now about it, but like some people would just go, stuff this, I'm going to get a job and this is too hard. But like he just kept going and going and going, and people were like, he was doing all these crazy things and marketing ideas, these safari outfits and all these wacky things, and people are like, is he all right? What's he doing? And I just said, look, he's giving it a crack, I'm going to support that. So we supported it, but you know, behind the closed doors, it was really, really hard. So it's not easy at all when you're in that scenario, but you just have to keep trying to support each other. And there were conversations where it was like, you can do this, like we support you, whatever you need, like we'll always be there. But at the same time, there was like hard conversations like, maybe this isn't working.
I probably wasn't as appreciative as when you're in the moment, because you're so highly strung, you feel embarrassed, all your mates think you're rich, and it's just this hard dichotomy. You didn't have anyone to really like get the sound advice that we would have around us now. Like,
Were you friends with Blake back then?
not really. Like we were friendly, but we didn't really talk to each other.
Yeah. So I got Deck into recruitment.
We've been friends like through high school.
Yeah.
There was this weird period from like starting our agencies
Yeah.
where we didn't talk for like 18 months.
Yeah.
Like you both had an agency. You think you would have like?
No, see, like for some reason, when you're in recruitment, generally the sentiment is don't speak to any other recruitment agency owners, because they'll take your clients, something will happen where it'll be a disadvantage to you. Generally, a lot of recruiters have the mindset of, the more of the pie there is, if someone else is winning over there, that means your pie's getting reduced.
Gotcha.
You're losing.
Which is a shame.
It wasn't
Yeah.
until our pies went to zero, COVID, where we thought we got nothing to lose now. And I think we called each other that week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rekindled. It's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, so
Love
just
that.
to give you some context on the safari outfit, because I
Yeah.
heard you go, what? So what Declan used to do, do you want to explain it? Or do you want me to
you're
explain
better
it?
at this. You love
need
telling
to
this
explain
story.
this, because I think it's better when someone else explains it from
And then
the
I'll
outside.
explain my perspective.
Yeah.
All right, so I remember exactly where I was the day that I saw you with your safari outfit. I'm not even kidding with you. I was at the Gabba in
Oh, the Gabba
the old office, sitting there with my screens up. And then your post came up on my LinkedIn, and I went, what the fuck is he doing? And so I'll give you a rundown on why I reacted that way. So what Declan used to do to do BD, get new clients, is he used to go cold calling.
Door
So
knocking.
basically door knocking. you would go to an industrial park or a corporate park where there's lots of businesses, and you would just drop in, give your card, find out who the decision maker is, see if they need recruitment.
No.
And so what Declan used to do is he used to dress up like Steve Irwin and a safari outfit because he's on the hunt for new business. And so him and his staff,
Kind of genius.
He
in a way.
did it
Memorable.
proudly everywhere.
he did it proudly.
Everywhere. And people were thinking,
He'd have a pair of binoculars and he
we
would...
need to get a photo
Yeah,
up
we
on
need to
Yes.
Yeah.
redo. You should do that for Ex Recruiter.
Is it?
Yeah, so that is what he was doing,
You gotta
trying
blend
to
in
get new
employment
work. He was
Instagram.
doing, this is what I mean, he was doing anything,
Everything and
and
anything.
everything he could do to stand
That's
out
committed.
to get clients
it
because
work?
he knew that he had to.
So yeah, it works. So
Yeah.
I'll tell you the prelude before that. So I would wear a suit because
Yeah.
we were always suited and booted. I'd walk around industrial parks, and I'd always like, it was really hot. People wouldn't talk to you. They'd be like, think you're a commercial real estate agent trying to sell their property,
Yeah.
and they'd be shut off straight away.
Yeah.
So then I kept wearing out my crutch because I'd be walking like 10 Ks a day, and my pants just kept ripping because you're wearing suit pants and you're not meant to be walking around in them. So I was like, this is doing my head in.
Forward pants.
I was
So-
going to say you need better pants then, but then I remembered what you were saying. So
And so then I was like, I need something where I can just wear like work clothes and get into these industrial sites so then no one bats an eyelid.
yeah,
And I was like, what can we do? What can we do? And then Scroggs at the time, I was like, what about like, you know, we're looking for something, looking for candidates, we can help you find them. And then, yeah, the safari outfit. And I started getting results from it because people would be like laughing, they'd be memorable.
yeah, it's a
That
conversation starter.
yeah, it would be
Oh, yeah.
comfortable. So yeah.
This
And
guy will
then-
do anything
Yeah.
for my business. I know
Yeah,
him.
like I remember
Yeah.
walking into this one place and there was about 10 or 12 sales guys on this floor, and I walked in and they all just sat up. They're like in rows, like you've walked into a
Oh my
classroom,
God, yeah.
and they're like, "Geez, mate, how much does your boss pay for you to wear that suit?" And I was like, "Oh, this is the worst." I'm like, "Too much, mate. You wouldn't know." And I wasn't even paying myself a salary at the time. and I
Yeah,
was the boss.
there was. Oh, yeah, and that's the other thing. Declan did not pay himself a salary
Oh my
when he
God,
was
that's
working
the
in
best.
his business. Not one salary for like
Love
one
it.
like a year.
I don't think it was till we moved to.
You know what? That
Gordon
was
Park.
that was a big problem for us because we were living at home. He was working his butt off. He was getting clients, but he wasn't paying himself
Team
a
of them.
salary, and that was obviously not working or going down well with me because I was like,
Why not?
What the hell?
Why weren't you paying yourself a salary?
Because the advice at the time was reinvest in the business, try and employ people, try and build a team. You know, at the time they were saying like, you know, I didn't have my salary, so like if I didn't do it, you shouldn't do it. Like,
Yeah,
it was
okay.
probably just the most wrong advice ever. I think it wasn't until we moved out to Gordon Park.
Yeah, which I had to put
Started
my
it-
foot down on. I was like, we are moving. We are out. We are getting our own place. We're standing on our own 2 feet. We've got 2 kids now. We are out. Like, I had to literally be like, I'm going to leave you if you don't pack your bags and come with us.
Get out of mum's house.
I literally, it was brutal. Wasn't it? I was like, I'm sorry. I'm not living under this house anymore. We need to do this. We need to grow. And if we stay here, like, I'm always the one just pushing and getting in there. Like, come on, that's the next step. We've got to go. And you need to pay yourself a salary, by the way, on the way out. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care what it is, but you're paying yourself something.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I started having my own rent and extra commitments, because like you only pay to the level of your expenses at the time. So if you have no expenses, you don't really go much harder. Like looking in hindsight, we should have just stayed in the apartment
In Hamilton.
in
Oh,
Hamilton.
yeah.
The worst thing I did was change my whole lifestyle. So like going to gym, going to CrossFit, you know, all that stuff, my whole lifestyle changed. And then I was like, if this is what business is being in, business sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you get no enjoyment. What's the point of doing this anymore? So I was like this hard situation of like, am I doing the right thing? And then, you know, the networking event every Tuesday night. And I was like, I'm doing so much stuff, but I'm not actually getting anywhere. Wasn't like calculated or thought out or, yeah. So it was a bit of a,
Yeah, your activity was impressive. Like you would show up every single day online, you know,
Yeah.
you would,
He would write letters
write letters, but
to
he would
like
get
everybody.
good goods airtime
Yeah.
from like radio, TV, all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
that wasn't making a dent for you?
oh, the Sky News situation, I got like 4 clients the next day call me.
Oh, really?
On
This
national
is
TV
Safari
for free.
suit?
No, I wrote a handwritten letter to Alan Jones. He's like one of Australia's biggest TV personalities. He's probably like 91 now. But 5 years ago, we were on Sky News, and I wrote him a letter saying, "You never have, as a young small business owner in business, would love to come on the show." And then I was on for 8 minutes on prime time for free. Yeah.
Awesome.
There was definitely some high points there, but I think at the time for us, it never really like clicked because it was just hustle, like let's get this going. And I think now where we're at, it's really important to like reflect and appreciate the things that you've achieved, because back then we didn't, because it was just like, just get it done. Survival mode, yeah. And it was hard. It would have been easier if we had something like Execruiter at the time.
Yeah.
I keep saying to Declan, like, holy moly, our life would be so much more like different and it would have been easier. But, you know, you got to go through it to get to the next chapter of your life.
Yeah, 100%. So when did things change for you guys?
When we moved out.
Okay, all right.
It was your birthday in 2019.
Yeah.
Yep. And then, so that was one change. And then probably the biggest change was when we started chatting again, I reckon.
Yep.
Probably the biggest monumental shift, and moved on from other people in life.
And we also, like, I came back to work and then I started my own business, which Declan actually kind of
kicked off Blended
influenced.
Interiors in
November? So whilst I was on
2019?
maternity leave with Sage and Declan was starting his business, I was doing a few interior design clients on the side. And Declan said, no, you need to choose. You got to do one or the other. You go back to work or you work for yourself. And he's in this business mindset, like hustle mode. And I just went, okay, fine, whatever. And then he just came up to me with this design. Like, I didn't even create my company. He did.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He literally came up with all the branding and everything and just went, here you go. This is your business. It's all set up and this is a present for you. And I was,
Kia did it. The work at Share Store.
Oh, okay,
so
cool.
I was, okay. Yeah, okay. I guess that's what I'm doing. I mean, 5 years later, I'm like, wow, that was a great decision. I'm glad I did that. So, kudos to Declan for challenging me and pushing me in that direction. But, I mean, that's another positive that came out of that journey. So we moved offices together.
Yeah, we were always together. 16
We've
square.
always worked together.
12 square meters.
Yeah, it was tiny. And then we had
Surely that would have been hard.
Yeah, we had
There was 4 of
like
us. Manisha and Sarah were in there as well.
Yeah.
And then,
I had 2 staff at the time.
Yep.
Declan had 2 or 3, and we were sharing this tiny little office. And gradually, every year or so, we would get a bigger space until we ended up in the biggest space we've ever had. And all of our staff got along really well, and we were working together and living at home together. So I found that, like, I enjoy working with Declan. I don't have an issue with being in the same space working together. It doesn't.
Yep.
It's weird. People think, what's wrong with you? But I actually really, I like it.
Yeah.
I like being around.
I like being around. You can
When you see Deck winning and he's putting in the effort and he's grinding it out and he's coming home with the wins, does that change the way that you look at him at all? Like, do you ever see him in a different light now that he's not working for someone else? He's kind of the master of his own destiny. Does that ever play a part in how you look at Declan?
Yeah, I mean, the more wins and the more things that he's achieved, definitely, like, it's just incredible. Like, I love seeing the growth and the development that you've done. It's amazing. And I think from the beginning, you've done together, but for yourself personally as well, like your time and energy you put into your personal self-development as well is really important. So, I think it just, like, makes you feel more connected and closer, and I think I value that so much more. Seeing the progression, and I feel so proud. Like, I think that's amazing. I just love seeing that in anyone, but when you see it in your partner, I think it makes you feel so fulfilled because you know that they're winning in life. So from back then to now, I'm just like, go babe, you rock. Damn, let's have another baby.
I think, like, I heard it on a podcast once, and it was like watching your partner go through life without them knowing you're there. So, like, watching, say, Kat walk into a restaurant, you're sitting somewhere out the back and you see her naturally engaging and, you know, people looking up, and then she comes and sits down. It's like watching your partner do life. It's like a really attractive thing.
Yeah, I
cute.
totally get that.
So that would happen, like, a lot in the workplace. You'd see Dee, like, with a client or her staff laughing, and you'd be like,
Go
it.
deep.
What
Get
about tell them about how you felt after you witnessed me do my first sales call and my first meeting. Declan came along with me.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
boy.
he was just like, you tell the story, because I remember you just like couldn't stop talking about it.
Yeah, I was like, you've got to start cold calling because obviously that's how recruiters win business. I was like, there is no interior designer cold calling anyone. They'd be waiting for like, something to fall in their
Referrals.
lap. Yeah, referrals or mums groups. And she's like, yeah, right. So what do I say? I'm like, just call them and introduce yourself. And she gets the website up and she's like, hey, it's Dee from Blend Interiors. Had this builder just like in her hand. And she's like, you've got a dog on your website. Yeah, what's his name? And then, this most engaging conversation I think I've ever seen someone do. And it was like her first cold call. And I was like, what can you teach me?
Yeah.
So those types of things. And then who was your first meeting with?
I don't remember. I think it was a builder or something. And I don't know. It was a potential client and you came in on the meeting and I kind of just slayed it just off the bat. And Declan was just like, oh my God, that was so hot. That was, I was like, oh, what did I do? I don't know what I did. But he was like just really impressed because like, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. And here I am just not even thinking. I just talk to people all the time. I didn't really know what I was going to do. I was just going to just talk. And I think I just like obviously did a good impression because he was very impressed. But anyway.
It was fun.
Yeah, so we enjoyed working together. Like, considering it was so hard in the early days and it was like a different journey to get us where we were, then we eventually were working together, doing our own businesses, but it was really supportive, like, on each other. We'd bounce each other ideas. He could hear tough conversations I might have or issues with the staff that I'd have and vice versa. So, yeah, I think that was like, it was fun. It was a good little chapter, that one.
It's a good couple of years.
Yeah. So that was like a good turning point.
For sure. And so good couple of years, you're both winning. You've got your business. Deck's got his business. They're both called Blended. So you're two peas in a pod. And then Declan and I rekindled and then we had the idea about Ex-Recruiter and we started doing Ex-Recruiter and there was a challenging moment when Ex-Recruiter was first started around how much time, energy and resources do we put in Ex-Recruiter or our own agencies, because really, trying to juggle that was somewhat of a challenge. So what was that like on the relationship?
Go for it.
Oh, okay. I think it was like kind of going back to the beginning again a little bit financially. And I think that was a little concerning because we both knew how like much time and energy that required and money as well. And we just like kind of got to a position where we were like really good. So yeah, doing all of that and reinvesting into another business is always a little bit daunting. I feel like we both knew it had to happen. Like it was something we just have to do. We've got to support each other through this. But at the time, it felt like, oh, we're going to have to, here we
like
go.
eating glass again. We all
Strap
thought it was
in.
going to happen cheaper and quicker, but it always takes longer and more money.
Yep.
Yeah. And in the
So when you say had to go back to the start again, what do you mean?
Like financially for us, because Declan had to take a time away from blended employment at the time, and he was doing a bit of a restructure there. So he was, losing staff there so he could put more time over here. So it was more just like how he would balance his time between his business and the new business. And I knew how strongly and passionate and like engaging he was into this whole idea of Ex-Recruiter and how it would work. And I completely support that. So at the same time, he's doing less over here and more over there. So he's not making as much money. And then there's more stress back onto me to make more money. And then we had another baby.
Felt like Blended 2.0. It was like Blended 2.0 again.
Yeah. And then at that time, there was another baby on the way. And, my
So
staff
did it put strain on your relationship again? Or?
Absolutely. Yeah. It kind of put that strain back on again a little bit. Not just like on a different level. Probably not as hard as the last time, just a little bit more like, I don't know how you would say it.
Yeah, it's probably just more money circulating around again. It wasn't like a small situation. We had the house.
Yeah, we had a house.
More money into Ex-Recruiter. Like didn't cost way more money to start Ex-Recruiter than it did starting Blended.
Yeah.
And then interest rates are going up. Like fair bit of stuff going on.
And a lot of time as well. Because you guys put in so much time in the beginning. Like before any of this was created, it was you guys were doing your own businesses, but you were catching up on weekends, and it was like late nights. It was like 24/7. Like these guys were on the phone like 24/7, right? Do you remember?
They
like
still are.
They still are. Yeah, I think they secretly like enjoy it though.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're constantly working. So the time is probably a lot less again, and the kids are a bit older, so it's like a bit more of a juggle.
Yeah.
So not just financially, but also the time kind of kicks back in again.
Yeah.
What about you two? How did you two meet? Bit of a candidate recruiter scenario.
We
Blake
had
Serkins.
the same kind of friendship circle, and I was looking for a bit of a life change, and someone we both know was like, why don't you ask that Blake guy? He does recruitment. And so I slid into his DMs, asked him for a job, and he didn't get me one, but he asked me for a coffee.
Aww, what a gentleman.
I know.
That's what you do when you meet candidates. You take them for a coffee. So.
No, because I said,
Only the special ones. I've never
said-
taken any candidate for a coffee.
I said, don't worry about the job. I've decided to move home to the Gold Coast. And he said,
Makes
how
sense,
about
guys.
we catch up for a coffee anyway? So he tuned me pretty much.
Look, I was picking up vibes of this girl doesn't want a job. Who
need a job,
DMs me for a job
swear.
and then goes, oh, I might just go to the GC. And so I was like, okay, I'm reading between the lines here, darling. Why don't we go for a coffee then, if that's what you're
I'm
after?
just flaky. That's just what I do.
Kruger vibes.
Okay, so if there are any recruiters out there that are interested to find out what it's like to have a VA support them in their role, whether that be to bill more, reduce tasks that they don't enjoy doing, or be a more effective recruiter in their niche, then we definitely recommend reaching out to the Outsource People or TOP. Reach out to them, inquire on how they can implement a VA in your agency and to support you. And if you mention ex-recruiter or Confessions of a Recruiter, they will give you a 13% discount off your bill per month on this VA that will allow you to scale your business, scale your desk, and to bill more and make more money. So go reach out to the Outsource People, say Confession sent you, get your discount, and see what is possible.
What was Blake like when he met? Because he was like jacked,
Well, I
already
had-
highly successful.
I'd seen him like for maybe a year and a half or something like that, just in the distance. Like we'd never spoken or anything. And he was like jacked. And I remember someone was like, do you think that guy's hot? And I was like, yeah, he's all right. And then like, what do we know years later? But when we actually started talking and stuff, he wasn't that fit anymore. He'd kind of like I remember our first date, I like bought a new outfit. I took my really expensive handbag and he forgot, I think. And I rocked up at his house and he looked like he'd been like mowing the lawn. And he said to me, oh, I've ordered Chinese. I didn't get you anything, but you can have some of mine if you want. And I was just like, okay. And I was just like, what the hell is this guy? And then like, I thought we had a good night. And then he didn't reply. I texted him when I left and I was like, thanks so much. I had so much fun. He didn't reply to me till like the next afternoon. I was just like, wow. Like,
Hard to get, Blake.
Treat him in, keep him clean.
I don't know what
I live and
Really?
die by that.
But where were you at this point? Like, were you like, what was going on for you at this time?
So I think I was 12 months into Vendito.
Yeah.
So things were going well on paper for me,
You had
but
wild.
yeah, but it was chaotic. Like the first 12 months of Vendito, there was a lot of roller coasters, a lot of ups, a lot of downs. I was originally working out of my mum's warehouse. Hired a couple of people, then hired a couple of people more, and basically hired most of my mates. And I felt like I was doing it. You know, I was achieving what you should be achieving. But it was probably it wasn't sustainable, basically, because we were 24, 25. All the boys would party, they'd go out, they'd be doing all sorts of stuff, and it certainly wasn't a successful workplace long term.
No HR in that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Mum's warehouse had a mezzanine level. She would work downstairs. We would work on the mezzanine level upstairs. And so that was like our own little exclusive spot. And there would be warehouse pickpackers that are picking product and all this kind of stuff out the back. And it got to the point where Mum would almost every day have to come up to the mezzanine level and go, guys, please stop swearing. The pickpackers out the back are getting annoyed on how much you guys swear. And so if you're getting warehouse people going, it's fucking loose up there and not enjoying it, then you know you probably got a problem. Yeah. And so we had to I was printing out no swearing signs and laminating them and putting them on people's desks and all sorts of stuff. Like, it was just like pure testosterone instinct, like no rules, no anything. And when you're like 24, and I trained everybody myself. Only one person that started had previous recruitment experience. They were all averaging maybe 20 grand, 25 grand a month. So at the time it was like 50% comms. And so they were making, Jimmy's an example, we're making, 10, 12 grand gross in their bank account because they're essentially a sole trader. So they're not getting tax taken out. They're getting GST added to it. So
they got to manage it all themselves.
Yeah. So they get, 13, 14 grand whacked into their bank account as a 24-year-old. And you think, well, let's keep the party going. Then everyone felt like they were ballers, and it was a bit of a crazy time. And I certainly had to kind of reinvent myself a little bit, because it was difficult to have expectations on others, to be appropriate and be their best selves if I wasn't doing the same.
And they're your friends, right?
Yeah, all my friends. So they're I'm like, stop going out and going on benders. You're turning up on a Monday like scattered, and you're not productive. And they're like, come on, brother. You were with me. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a good point. And so it was a challenge to try and change. And for years before this, I was young and a little bit stupid, and I kind of used to be proud to be kick on king, and I'd party the hardest and all this kind of shit.
My parents might watch this, so just
so sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Robinson. And so I had this kind of this residue of being a bit of a party boy, basically, and it was really challenging to try and change people's perception of me because they knew who I was between 18 and 22. And so I had to completely reinvent my habits, my behaviors, my social circle. And now when people think of Blake, they're like, oh, Blake never drinks, never goes out. He's like, I've got now a polar opposite kind of perception when people think of Blake. And it's actually really hard to change people's perception, and the only way you can do that is by your habits and your behaviors and your actions.
Going to the other extreme. Yeah. Well, it's
Yeah.
not a perception, it's reality.
Yeah. Well,
fair.
it took like a year of, I did a year sober. And
Is that when you
was
guys
that
met?
when we first
Yeah.
got
Yeah,
together?
I think you just had started maybe getting it together, no drinking, no partying, all that kind of stuff.
It's always when you put those standards in and rules in, then the right people come into your life.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Yeah.
But
You're welcome.
Yeah.
yeah, I think it worked out better that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so staying sober for a whole year, not everyone's like, oh, you're never going to do that. But we went on an overseas holiday we went to Italy for my dad's 50th,
Oh, yeah.
my sister's 30th. I went
Nice.
to New Zealand, Singapore.
I wasn't there.
You went there for those. That
You
was
went
just
to
a-
Rome, didn't you?
Yeah, I went to
Italy?
Italy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then, yeah.
So how long were you guys sort of seeing each other before you moved in, or was you were just focused on work, doing your thing, sober, reinvented Blake?
Yeah.
And you guys are just living the life, going traveling, and
I think we were together 3 years before
3
we
years,
moved in
yeah.
together. And I think when I got pregnant with Elsie, we had only moved in for 2 or 3 months or something. And I remember he actually called Declan and was like, what's your opinion on this? And you were like,
I remember the
"It's
call
the
vividly.
best thing. You come home and Deanna's making dinner and she's kind of in a tizzy and she's not talking, but then Sage will run up and be like, Daddy, this is the best. And I think that won you over. Not that you had an option.
I remember I got a call from Blake, and
Because we were just starting Ex Recruiter. We were in the
No.
process of starting Ex Recruiter.
you were talking.
Wasn't Extra
When was
Recruiter
Elsie?
the Carindale
2022.
2022.
Yeah.
True.
So we were talking about it.
And
we
she was born
originally
in January.
We originally spoke about Ex Recruiter in 2020.
Yep.
Registered the company in December 2020. So maybe 3 to 6 months prior to that was when our first initial discussions around Extracruiter were a thing.
Yeah.
And then it took us basically a year of just going backwards and forwards and what about this, how are we going to do that, etc. And then we found out that Elsie was pregnant. Elsie was pregnant. Kat was pregnant with Elsie.
Because I remember the call. I get a call from Blake and he's like, hey, mate, you remember when you found out Dee was having a baby? And I'm like, yeah.
You knew straight away.
Straight away. I was like, Kat's pregnant, isn't she? And he's like, yep.
It's so nice though that you called him
Yeah.
to, get his advice on that, because at the time you probably didn't have anyone in the friendship circle that had been in the
No, I
same
don't think so.
situation.
No, it was only Declan.
Just
it was Declan
in
and my
his
parents
outfit.
were the two calls that I made. Declan and my parents, and I called Deck because we started to rekindle a little bit. We were talking about
Yeah.
Extracruiter. We were like slowly getting logos designed and just like slowly chipping away at it. And then, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I mean, my first reaction was, well, there goes my fucking career.
He didn't look me in the face for like a good hour, I reckon. He was just
Oh.
like, yeah, you didn't.
Whatever.
In the best way. But
Don't worry, it's normal.
You
I
could
re-
tell you were frazzled.
I wasn't. I was cool as a
He was
cucumber.
frazzled.
You came up to me and like the first time you did it as a prank.
Yeah.
Look at this. I'm like, what's that? She's like, I'm pregnant. I'm like, interesting. And she's like, I'm like, okay. She's like, oh,
Like a
I'm just
year
joking.
before.
I'm like, don't ever joke about that again.
It was
And then
funny.
it happened for realsies. And I just was like, okay, how does that make you feel?
Words of a
And then
wise
you're like, how
man.
does that make you feel?
Yeah, I feel like you're really good at, I never have to stress about anything. So like when I found out, I was like, Blake's got this. I'm good. Like I don't really have to worry. So Sorry
Little
to
do you
you.
know, I'm just pumping Deck with back-to-back calls.
yeah, well,
What's my next move? What do I do here? How do I do this?
So did that change anything for you in your mind about starting Extracruiter?
It certainly put a spanner in the works. I knowing what I know now, I was extremely naive on what that meant. So having a partner that's pregnant, I was thinking, oh my God, like this is going to distract me. This is going to lessen my success in some capacity. I'm going to have to be up all night. I'm going to be distracted. I'm not going to be as successful as I was planning to be, was what I thought. And so I was having a chat to my parents and obviously Declan, and I was like, oh, I don't think I'm ready right now. I'm not financially set up enough to justify having a child. Like I want to have my own house, a bit of money in the bank. Like everyone has this idea of being in the perfect spot
Yeah.
to justify a child.
Yeah.
And if you're not there, some people go, oh, I can't have a kid right now. I don't have this in order. And that's basically what was going through my mind. And then I was speaking to my parents, and I said that to my parents. I was like, oh, look, I'm in the process of starting Extracruiter. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. You know, I've got all these things. And then my parents probably knocked a bit of sense into me, and they said, Blake, think about your life right now. You run a business, you're successful, you're earning lots of money. You don't have much drama in your life. You are in the best possible spot to ever have a child. No one could be in a better spot than you right now to have a kid. So you gotta like, this is the moment. And I was like,
yeah, coming from them.
yeah. And I'm like,
Nice.
yeah, good point. I mean, if
Yeah.
I can't have a kid now, like, what am I actually, like, what level of success do I need to justify having a child? And so that's when I, took the bull by both horns and I accepted my new reality. And then it's been the best ever. Having children completely changes your motivation, your ambition, the reason why you get up in the morning. It's certainly
Oh.
what
What about having me?
and
to
obviously
look
having
after?
a
You have to
partner
look
that
after me
supports
as
you.
well.
Yeah.
You did not have an easy pregnancy. It was through COVID.
Through
What's the thing-
COVID,
what's the
I get
thing you get?
hyperemesis.
Hyperemesis.
So I was vomiting all the time in hospital every 2 weeks or so on a drip. It was horrendous. And I was still working for Blake's mum at the time. She owns hair salons. And so I would be blow drying someone's hair and the heat would get to me and I'd have to run to the bathroom and vomit. And then it was crazy. So
But you did a great job.
You did amazing.
Yeah.
I lasted till 8 months pregnant and then I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
So I think that's a pretty good crack.
And Kat had COVID. She tested positive for COVID
Yes, like the week
when she went into
before.
labour.
That's right.
Yeah. So Blake couldn't come in with me. I had to go all by myself until I was in the birthing suite, and then he was able to come in. And then when they took me
For a few
into
hours, I was
the
allowed in.
just while Elsie was literally born, and then when they took me out of the birthing suite, he wasn't allowed to come with me. So I was by myself with like a new baby, no
Wow.
visitors.
Yeah.
Like it was crazy.
They
People
met
in
her.
hazmat suits, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yes, they had to come get me in a hazmat suit. It was so embarrassing. I had to call this nurse, and she came in like this suit. You know how hospital doors open like this through the hallways? They'd be like, coming through, blah, blah, blah. And they'd like open the door, and I'd walk in a section, then they'd close the door, then they'd walk in the next and open. I felt
like
like
Mad
I
Max.
had like
Yeah.
the
What that show-
plague. It was so embarrassing. But like,
Yeah, like we won't go down the COVID vaccine rabbit hole, but I wasn't
please.
I wasn't allowed in because I didn't get vaccinated. Neither was Kat because she was pregnant, and so yeah, they certainly behaved like we were the worst humans in the world. And then only being in the birthing suite for a couple of hours, and then being like, all right, you got to go home now while Kat stays there. I was just texting Kat and calling her
didn't
like,
see
hey,
Elsie
how?
for like 3 days.
Yeah.
I think she was 3 days old.
That is
when
Really?
we saw
Yeah.
her again.
Oh.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would have been demanding. That
Yeah.
is
It was crazy.
hectic.
I was just waiting at
And
home.
that's your first child.
Yeah, I'm just like waiting
think
at
I remember
home.
that.
I remember asking
'Cause
Declan.
we all
about
got
it.
sick up from the
Yeah.
Christmas holidays.
That's
There was
right.
a
Yeah.
Christmas
Yeah.
party.
There was a Christmas
Yeah.
party
That-
and everyone got COVID.
Yeah. That,
Yeah.
And I was just sitting at home for 3 days, just getting photos and videos, and like, I wonder when they're coming
Your new
home.
baby, yeah.
Yeah.
Forgot about that.
Yeah,
That was crazy.
yeah.
so let's talk about some like funny little questions or something.
Yeah, just
Where's
that.
the-
Let's make
posts
some
you
fun
were-
here.
I won't worry
Okay,
about
let's
it.
bring us on because you guys can crop out bits and pieces.
Yeah, we don't normally crop.
We don't
things.
crop anything.
Oh,
Yeah.
we will
So
now.
what's like?
Oh.
What's home? Sum up Blake at home in one word. Because we see the work, Blake.
He's so calm. Like, I would have no idea what's going on at work. One, because he doesn't tell me. Two, because he's always just, there's no reaction to anything. I'm like, how was your day? He's like, good, just had lots of meetings. What did you do today? Like, you just...
Yeah, I don't know. I don't normally share. I rightly or wrongly, I keep work and private life extremely separate to
Yeah.
give myself
Freedom.
an escape.
Yeah.
Of like, if I came home and just like pumped Kat with like everything that happened, one, I'd have to relive all the shit that happened for the day. Two, then she'd start asking me questions about it and make me think more about it and be like, fuck, hang on a second. That's really bad, isn't it? And then I'd wig out even more. So
Maybe we should try this approach for a month.
Yeah, okay. I'm
Yeah.
down
It's
because
really
we
good.
obviously talk about everything.
Yeah.
So when he comes home, it's literally that scenario.
Oh,
It's
really?
us.
Yeah, I've spoken to a lot of business people, and some are like, take your partner on the journey, but they don't need to hear about the day to day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That actually is true though, because I remember there was a lot
I
of
feel like sometimes you want to pry it out of me. Like, tell me what
no,
happened.
not all
Yeah,
the time, but
you-
sometimes he would come home and he would just unload, and I'd be like, and I got to the point where I was like, I'm starting to be stressed just like listening to these conversations and the things that you and Blake are dealing with at work, and you know the positives. But I want to hear the positives, but the negatives, I was just like, I don't want to hear it. I was like, I tried to like sort of not get involved in those questions, but I like to know the good stuff. I'm like, what happened today? Tell me something
Yeah.
good, and then he'll be like, unrattle something off him. Oh, okay, I don't want to know about that.
I think the most that I share is, what happened with our finance team recently is maybe the conversation is, hey, just so I let you know, work's going to be really intense over the next couple of weeks. So I'm not going to be as engaged or at home as I normally am.
Wow.
And then it's like, okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's
You're like,
And
all
what
right.
do you
yeah.
What is your
Pretty much.
reaction, Kat? You're just like, okay, like,
Yeah, I think
You guys,
I'm-
is there anything I can do to help? I'm like, nah. And she's like, okay, cool. Well, just let me know if I can. I'm like, alrighty.
I think like I'm so into like the kids and doing everything with them. When he's doing his own thing, I'm just like, cool. I don't have to cook dinner for you that night. I don't have to like tidy up if you're not going to be home. So like, sorry, I'm not as like. Do you want me to ask you more questions?
No.
on it?
I actually like the degree of separation between work and home.
Yeah, I just try and
Because-
keep everything really calm. Like, although it may not seem like it, but like the bed made, fresh towels. So like when he comes home, it's like peaceful and he's not like
I don't have to do anything when I
stressed,
get home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
You should
basically
do
get
Can I
home.
come live with you?
Sparkling water.
yeah. There's a sparkling
Honestly,
water
you
next to
like
my
has-
bed.
you and maybe a couple other people that hold a robe up, and he's like, puts his arms in, and he's like,
Blake's coming in, guys, get ready. And the
got
kids
a
are at the door.
great branch, just like
Yeah.
fanning him.
That's what it's like. But-
Yeah, legit. You know.
So we're totally different
Yeah.
perspectives on households, I think.
Yeah, where you come
It
into our
works for
place
us.
and it's like absolute chaos.
Is it?
There's a dog running around that's like jumping on the table. There's, children
Saves
running
time,
around
you
doing
go up.
what they do, but
Archie
I'm
just-
trying to work at the same time, and I'm yelling at Declan, "You need to do dinner."
Yeah.
We juggle it well, and I think now I've taken a little bit more of a step back from being so hands-on with the business that I have. Been fortunate enough to be able to take a bit of time back with the kids, but prior to that, it is crazy. Like the juggle's insane, and I think that can relate to a few stresses for Declan when he comes to the office. So I'm trying really hard to pull back a little bit. Maybe I could take a page out of your book, Kat.
Yeah, your dynamic's different.
Yeah.
So, I don't work, so I don't have that
Yeah.
stress at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would find it really challenging to be in that
Yeah.
being that type of dynamic, because for me, I need to know exactly what to expect when I get home.
Yeah.
And so if I, for example, like you're working, Dex just finished a big day at work, and you're like, sort dinner out for the kids, please.
Yeah.
I've got stuff to do.
Yeah.
Like if Kat said that to me, I think I would wig out. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Can we punk him?
Any
Let's
Bro, it
pump-
happens all the
let's
time.
pump
Like,
him.
I
Oh,
wake
mate.
up, hey, I need you to go drop me off to get car service, and then can you drop Sage off? And I'm like, oh, fuck. Just
We've
go
asked-
this morning.
Look, I'm
Every
trying.
day. It's just like training,
If
you know what I
I-
mean? Like for the people.
Sometimes I get home and Kat says, can you look after the kids for a few minutes? I need a shower. I'm like, oh, you had all day to do that. Why are you doing it during my
And then I'm
time?
trying to have a shower, and he's got Tommy near the door. He's like, how long are you going to be? Or the other day I came out of the shower. I think I was gone 3 minutes, and Elsie came out and she goes, oh, Mummy's having some alone time. So obviously Blake has said to her, I had a 3-minute shower.
Making her feel guilty.
Oh,
So-
yeah.
Yeah, look, that doesn't fly in our household at
Yeah.
all. Declan does fall asleep a lot though, so when he falls asleep, I'm just like, go wake up, Daddy. Just go.
Blake goes to bed at 7
Just
before
go.
Elsie and Tommy sometimes. He's like, Daddy's going to bed. Bye, guys. And we're like,
Yeah.
You need to get a
7:30.
muscle mat, and you just don't even need a mattress. You
We've
just
got
fall
one.
asleep.
No,
Yeah, that's
oh, yeah.
everyone needs
yeah.
a muscle mat.
I think we're getting better at it, but I think I'm getting better at it, making you stress less.
So what have you done
The
over
grey
the
hairs are there
last?
forever now, though.
What have you done over the last few years to be able to manage your relationship, and have a better connection at home
Yeah.
when life is stressful, life's 100 miles an hour, kids are running around? Is there any strategies that you've been able to implement? I know one Declan does where he speaks to himself before he walks through the door.
He does it all the time.
Maybe you explain what that is.
Yeah, reframe yourself before you come in the house. I'm not perfect. I think last night I walked in on the phone to Theo, and Dee's like, get off your phone. But yeah, more often than not, I'll pull up at the car, do some deep breathing, be like, I'm coming in to be my best self to the kids, come in calm. So when Sage runs up and is like, Daddy, I'm not like, oi. It's like, yeah, what's going on? And you're a bit more chill,
Yep.
deal with that
you
situation.
do that?
Um,
No. You have to think about it.
I do that from time to time when I know I'm not being present.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll go, I need to be my best self right now for my kids. And then
Yep.
I'll go, all right, I need to put my phone down and just do this. But sometimes it's hard when you don't have a process in place and a time that you do it religiously. It becomes extremely reactive, and you have to proactively put energy into thinking about being present with the fam when you're working. So it's probably something I do from time to time, but I could probably be better at it.
And I think, what's her name that we chat to? A Blimber. Terry, yeah.
Oh yeah, she's our
So it's probably
she's our little golden gem, Terry.
Yeah, Terry. We've seen her for ages.
We are
What's that mean?
we are
What's this?
totally all for couples counselling, just so you know, because I think it's really important when things are really tough, like what we have been through. You do lose yourself and each other in those times. So we have touched base with Terry on and off occasionally when things have been really challenging for us to try and reconnect, to be on the same level, emotionally and mentally.
More often than not, your intentions and what you think about are the same.
Yeah.
But your way of communicating that to each other
Yeah.
is really hard.
So we're
so then you clash. And then when you actually sit there and someone gets a third party perspective, it's like you actually mean the same thing. And you're like, oh, sweet. And then like Michael with his mindset coaching, like, having experts, that's what I've never did until maybe
I think
2022.
the mindset stuff is really helpful.
Even like how to parent kids.
Yeah, we
like
get a lot
like,
of
oh,
help with
Archie
that.
never listens. It's like, well, mate, does he know the rules? You're like, oh, no, I have to tell him every day. Well,
So we print them
why
and
don't
we
you write the
them on
rules
the
up?
wall.
You've got housekeeping in the office. You've got a position description for everyone at the office. Do that at home. You're like, oh, okay. Like, his brain's developing
He's
at a
14,
different
just-
stage.
yeah.
And just like all those little like tidbits of advice that actually add value from a parent who's
And we also
raised
try and
kids.
we lock in time to do like date nights. Like we try and lock in time to be like, okay, we're going to go do this together and you're going to show up, you're going to be present, I'm going to show up and we're going to like go on a date. And then we just like try and do that, but we lock it in. Like we'll literally go, okay, look at the diary, book it in for the month
in advance.
in advance, and we have to commit to it. And that's just like when we go and see Terry, like, you know, once a month or once a quarter or whatever it may be, when you just want to like, you know, hash out a few things together that we're sort of not in agreement with.
What do you talk about? What? So you both sit down and Terry says, "So, what's been happening?"
Yeah, well, she knows us really well because we've seen her through some of the toughest times in our relationship, like when, you know, Declan was going through some things personally with, you know, his family, and I was pregnant, so we had a lot of stuff happening. So she helped us sort of reconnect and come back together because we were like, yeah, we're throwing in the towel. This is just too hard. But we didn't want to, but it was just the easiest option at the time. So when we see Terry, we will chat to her about, you know, where things are at, how have we been. You know, she'll just like delve deep and just ask us questions and we're like, actually, yeah, that really pissed me off when you did X, Y, Z. And we need to be more present in these type of events. Like whatever the problem is at the time. What was a recent one that we were having issues with? I think it was like more just communication in general is like a big one. And then the kids, because there's so much going on and I'm not working. I mean, I am working.
Deanna's love language is time. So when we don't have time together, that
yeah, like I
fires
get
you up.
annoyed and because I don't feel like I'm getting any time with Declan. So yeah, we just break down like what the issue is at the time and we figure out why we're there and just rehash things out that,
giving yourself permission to do things I struggle with a lot.
Yeah, Declan finds it hard to do that. So we have to try and like work through you taking time for you and not feeling,
Interesting. Yeah. What would that be for us?
What would I mention to the counsellor that I don't like about you?
Yeah. What would
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably just being present. Like I feel like you're always 10 steps ahead that he misses like what's happening in the moment. And like a lot of the time when I try and I'm like, remember this, remember that, he has no idea what I'm talking about. And just little things like that. Like I don't want you to look back on your kids and not remember them growing up because you're so like you're trying really hard to make a good future for us, which is amazing, but you're not present a lot of the time. And you're always on the phone.
Yeah. My turn.
Okay.
You got any last words, Kat? You want to add to that?
Oh my God.
I think the only thing that we ever have issues with is when Kat doesn't close the door after herself. She's got
Come on, mate.
She has got a problem with leaving doors open.
Doors, cupboards.
Yeah. You get home and
anything that's got a hinge. it's just
anything's got a
open.
hinge, it's
Everything's
open.
open. I can't help it. I don't know what it is.
Oh,
Just
mate,
give her
we had
open
moths
shelves.
and mozzies in our car the other day because she left all 4 doors open and the back open and the garage door open. So all of these bugs.
In the
and then
night
she
time.
Overnight.
Yeah, and then
Overnight.
all these bugs just came in and just like multiplied into the car.
had-
And so we get in, the kids are strapped in and they've just got mozzies pumping them and they just can't get out. And I'm like, Kat, this is why you need to close the door after yourself.
That's the worst thing. I think that's
Then you're
Yeah.
doing pretty good.
I think
Yeah,
you
yeah,
guys
yeah.
are great.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
guys are goals there. Love it.
I don't
I'll
think,
try harder.
Yeah, I don't think we have any
I'm
issues.
getting better.
You know, closing the fridge door, couple cupboards, the car door. Like, there's probably that. If I was to, cherry pick something, that's probably the only thing. Just close the door after yourself.
Yeah.
But I think the
getting
being
better.
present thing, that thing compounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah.
It's something
it's
that
really
I was,
important.
my mum and sister used to be like, you're just glazed over.
Yeah.
You're physically here, but you are not here right now.
Yeah. That's like.
I reckon that was like the root of the issue though. Like with
Pisses
every
everyone off.
that kind of just stems the big pimple of problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're just not there. You listen to things and then you miscommunicate because you're not there listening.
So how do you be more present?
You physically have to like make
An effort.
genuine effort.
Yeah, put the phone away.
And sometimes it might be a reminder from a person that you're with, like you or a friend or whatever, like a family member that knows that you're not really there, that they feel comfortable saying that. Like I'll just be like, Declan, like you need to like show up right now. Like now's the time.
I had to make a conscious effort to be like, all right, I'm going to actually.
Yeah, I think you
Talk
said
to
that when
people.
we went to New Byron Bay on holiday. You were like, I'm going to put my phone away. I'm going to be really present with the kids.
Did I do that?
Did it laugh?
Yeah, I think he had to go and have a nap halfway through because he was so tired like, being present with the kids.
Trying really hard to be
Yeah.
present. Yeah.
It doesn't take as much energy to just to sit there and daydream than to be present with the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was an awesme couple of hours.
yeah,
awesome.
okay.
But yeah, I guess like, you just want to have it all at the end. Like,
Yeah.
we do it. So, hopefully one day our future looks different than what it is now. And
I think it's all worth it.
keep it all together.
The challenges and the journey and whatever that may look like for both of us, I think it's all worth it in the end, and the satisfaction of what it will be like and what it is being like is just probably something you'll never get to do in another life. So it's exciting to be a part of it together, and sharing this journey with the kids growing up together. The business is going really well for you guys. XR Ladies is on the way.
Yeah, we've got a new
XR Ladies.
Just going to drop that one
Wives
in
and
there.
girlfriends of recruiters.
Creating,
If anyone wants to join.
Creating a community for the ladies. or
Yeah.
men, but
Tell us about this, because I reckon this is awesome. It's a cute
I
little
feel like
idea
this
you
is
both had.
Deanna's baby, so you can explain. She's the
you're a
admin
part
on
of
the
the
group.
baby. I
Have you
think
accepted
it's
your manager role yet?
I'm seeing what the pay is first.
Okay.
Cat's a numbers gal.
Yeah.
yeah.
She's got it from Blake.
Yeah.
I think because like we have shared today, there are so many challenges and wins and highs and lows of this whole journey for everybody, whether you're starting a business, whether you have a challenging life at home, whether you're going through some stuff personally. I just love the fact that we can bring a community together of partners of people that are starting agencies in Ex-Recruiter or a part of, the journey in general, like staff, wives, husbands, whoever it may be. But just creating a group where we can all get together and just support each other. So, we want to do a group. We want to do a ladies' day out for lunch where you can maybe one day bring the kids, do a kids' activity, like whatever it may be, and however big it may grow, I don't know. But it's really just to create new friendships and to just, I guess build a good connection with people out there.
You know why I think it's really special? I've had multiple calls from partners of Ex-Recruiter to call me and say, hey, I just want to give you a call. I don't know how to tackle this at home, but X isn't present. He's working his ass off. He needs to chill out. What should I do? And so getting personal calls from partners and saying, hey, I need a little bit of a hand at home here. That's a super special moment where not everyone gets that. And so if there's agency owners out there that are ripping it and trying really, really hard at the detriment of their relationship, which happens for everybody, then at least that person in their relationship has someone to speak to. And if there was a support network for hey, my partner's doing this, how do I tackle this challenge? And all of you are also going through the same thing.
Yeah.
It'll just increase the odds of success and fulfillment and happiness at home, being able to communicate this with each other.
Yeah.
That's how it started, didn't it? We were at a dinner and there was a lot of wives and girlfriends there, and we found out that we were all going through similar things. We're like, oh yeah, he does this. And I think we started the Facebook group the next day, and we were like, if you ever need anything, we're here, we get it, we understand. And then maybe they can vent more to us and not annoy the men as much while they're working.
Well, they're in the early stages of starting a business. So I know for us that was hard. So if I can shed some light, it's going to be okay and you will get through it, then I'm 100% their fangirl. I will support them through that, and so will you.
Yeah.
But I just think it's hard for people to go through it alone, especially if you don't have family here or friends that are in the area. So that's kind of where it all stemmed from, and we're really excited, aren't we, Kat?
Yeah, we're having our first one. You guys are on dad duty.
Yeah.
So excited.
Dad duty for you guys.
So
You're
what's
gonna have
that,
to hang up the
a
road,
half
Blake.
an hour, 1 hour catch up for you guys, is it? Or
Quick coffee
Blake
and
will
you'll
be
be back.
calling me. Where are you?
But there is a Facebook page. So it's called, what's it called? XR ladies.
Yeah,
Ladies
XR
of
ladies.
XR.
Ladies of
of
XR.
XR.
There we go. Sorry, it's all new, so we're just getting it. But please swing us a message or join in if you want to, because we'd love to support anyone out there that's along for the journey.
So to clarify, could anyone join, or is it only
Are
the?
you doing a bit of a cat, leaving the door open for everyone?
Yeah.
Okay, look, this is XR people particularly. Sorry, guys. But, who knows?
It could expand. We
It
could have
could
public
expand.
events.
Yeah.
I think it would be nice to have just an open group
Yeah.
of that, because the one thing that I learned when Declan and I first got together around running our agencies is we're all traveling the exact same path.
Yeah.
We're just on slightly different timelines. I was 6 months ahead of Declan.
Yeah.
It's, someone else is 6 months ahead of me, and like all of our timelines. Like if we can just get us all together and share the experiences and what happens, we're going to be able to shortcut all of the pain and the suffering that can come with starting a business. So anyone that's running an agency, I think it'd be a good incentive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Totally.
That'll be awesome. And you got your first event on the 23rd of November.
22nd, I think. Is that
It's
it?
23rd.
Oh, I'm no good with dates, so.
It's a Saturday,
23rd of what?
November.
What he's doing?
Oh, okay.
Can we find
It's
out?
a surprise. We haven't released the details yet, so we
You have
can't
to
share
join
it
the
with you
group
before the
to know.
ladies. You don't even think you guys are in the group. Sorry.
Not allowed to be. Girls only.
Yeah, it's girls.
You'll get the invitation when it's time to look after the children.
Nice.
But
Guess
no,
that means another Fiji trip.
I think so. Another work trip.
Yeah,
another work trip.
Let's go somewhere a little bit further.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Out of APAC.
Yeah.
and
yeah.
we're coming.
That's what we should do. Extra Recruiter holidays, like family building holidays.
Yeah.
Rewards for the wives and girlfriends.
Yeah, I love that.
The
That'd be
real
good.
hard work is in the room.
Yeah.
We put out with
Well,
them.
you guys wouldn't do what you do in here if we didn't do what we did back at home.
100%.
You have that
So-
peaceful house at home.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. No, we owe a lot to the girls that support us. So it's certainly a refreshing and a nice feeling to know that whatever we choose to do, we're supported by you both. So thank you very much.
Thanks, babe.
Thanks for working so hard for us.
Yeah, you guys
Yeah,
are absolutely
yeah,
slaying it,
yeah.
and exciting things to come.
Thank you. Well, thanks for jumping on Confessions of a Recruiter's Partner. Woo. We'll chat to you next time.
Tell all.
Tell all. See ya.
Thanks, girls.
Thanks for tuning in to another Confessions of a Recruiter podcast with Blake and Declan. We hope you enjoyed and got a lot of value and insights out of this episode. If you do have any questions or you would like to recommend someone to come on the Confessions podcast, we would love any introductions. And remember the rule of the podcast: like, share, and recommend it to a friend. Until next time.